Good afternoon, Ms. Mokese.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
Are you well?
I'm well, thank you. I hope you're well too.
Very well. If you could speak into the mic so that everybody can hear you. Which degrees do you hold?
I hold a BA Law and an LLB degree, sir.
It's difficult to hear you.
I hold a BA Law degree and an LLB degree.
And for how many years have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing law. I have been admitted since 1991, which makes it 26 years as an admitted attorney.
And for how long have you acted as a judge?
I've acted as a judge for 3.5 terms.
3.5 terms.
That's right.
Now, translated to months, that's more or less what?
2 weeks. I can translate it quickly to weeks. I think in weeks, it's about 47 weeks I have been working as an acting judge.
As at the time you last acted, were you settled and comfortable in discharging your judicial responsibilities, or did you get a sense that you could use more time
No, I think
to act?
I've been quite comfortable with the acting stints that I have been doing, and I think the last time I did do so, I have been quite happy with the work that I have been doing.
Did you ever get to the point where you have kept the judgment reserved for such a long time that counsel had to complain, or you were embarrassed?
No, I haven't had that position.
What has been the longest?
The longest has been 6 months.
6 months?
Yes, sir.
Are you comfortable with 6 months or a bit uncomfortable?
Well, I'm a little bit uncomfortable about it, I will admit, but I think I was struggling at first with judgment writing, and also not so much judgment writing as a whole, but it was more judgment writing of civil trials. The opposed motions and as well as the criminal appeals, they would actually go through quite fast. In fact, regarding the opposed motions, I endeavor to hand down the judgments in the week that I hear the matter. And the longest that those have ever been outstanding is a week.
But as a practice, for how long do you keep judgments reserved on average? More or less?
I think maybe I could say 3 months on average yeah.
Okay. JP?
Thank you, CJ. Ms. Mokese, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, CJ.
You've seen your spreadsheet in front of you about what you've done. The spreadsheet reflects that you did 7 weeks of criminal trials. Do you have a comment about that?
Yes, I do. That is supposed to be 7 weeks of criminal appeals.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've never done a criminal trial?
No, I haven't done criminal trials.
Yes. But you've done a lot of criminal appeals?
Yes, I have.
You've sat twice in the agent court and you've had a third court matter?
That's correct, sir.
How many days was it enrolled for?
The third court, it was enrolled for 4 days.
And how long did it take you to finish it?
We finished in 2 days.
Good. Now, your CV and your form, your questionnaire, reflects that you are a property law specialist. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And that's what you've focused your attentions a lot more.
That is what I had been focusing my attention on in practice.
Yeah. And so you style yourself as a property law specialist?
I am a property lawyer.
Property lawyer, sorry. Okay. And you've chalked 10 weeks in the opposed motion court. Despite that, you say you've not reserved for longer than 3 months, except for that one that was 6 months.
That was a civil trial. In respect of opposed motion, I have not reserved a matter past 1 week.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice.
Thank you very much, Judge President. MEC.
I'm also fine, Chief Justice. Thanks.
Thank you very much, MEC. Judge President Lope.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon. As a black woman, have you or have you not experienced any form of racism in the profession or on the bench? For example, whereby white male advocates appearing before you would talk down to you, upon you, or some of your white male colleagues would treat you less of a judge?
I have not had it whilst I have been on the bench, but as an attorney, it did happen. And having started my practice in the early 1990s, I did experience that in the early years of my practice.
Follow up, CJ. Were you to be recommended by this commission for appointment as a permanent judge, do you have any ideas as to how you can assist the leadership of the judiciary to address this evil called racism and sexism? They go hand in hand more often than not.
If I was to be recommended, I would definitely give the support to the judiciary in trying to eradicate sexism and racism within the profession, and definitely at the bench.
Thank you, JP. Commissioner Fori.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon.
Good
Mr.
afternoon,
Mokese.
Commissioner Fourie.
As is customary, I need to disclose that we've known each other for quite a number of years.
That's correct.
There is, however, one issue, and it relates to reserved judgments that I feel compelled to raise with you. And I appreciate that it might have a detrimental effect on your application, but nevertheless, I must, in the exercise of my duties here, raise it with you. That is a matter, the case number is 28901. It's a matter, a trial matter of Rodney Love versus the Attorney's Fidelity Fund. Does that ring a bell?
It does, sir.
Now, my information is that judgment was reserved on the 9th of November 2016. Can you recall that?
I do.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
My information further is that on the 19th of June of this year, that is more than 7 months later, you only gave an order.
That is not correct, sir. A judgment was handed down. I handed down the judgment personally. Arrangements were made for both parties to be present in court, and that is what happened.
Okay. I'll get back to that, and I just want to complete with the information that I have. It is, the information further is that because only an order was given on the 19th of June, on the 20th of June 2017, you were requested for reasons.
That's not correct, sir. As I said, I had actually handed down a judgment.
And my information further is that a written judgment was only handed down on the 1st of September 2017, and that an application for leave to appeal is now pending against that.
I have no knowledge. I have not as yet been advised that there is an application for leave to appeal, but the judgment was handed down. It was a judgment which I had written and I read into the record.
If you
on
could
the
speak up a
19th.
bit. If you could speak up a bit, ma'am.
On the 19th of June, I had actually written a judgment and I read it into the record and it was handed down. It was a full judgment. It was not an order.
Okay. So you say the information that on the 19th of June only an order was given is incorrect?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And that on the 19th of June you also delivered a written judgment?
I delivered a written judgment.
Can we then just turn to the 4 reserved judgments that you list in your questionnaire under 9.5? What is the current status in respect of those reserved judgments?
They have all been handed down.
When were they handed down?
I just need to get hold of the list, if you'll excuse me a moment.
I think to contextualize it as you go through it, when you come with a response, say, when was it reserved? When was it handed down, so that we can appreciate the length?
I will do so.
The dates that it was reserved is on the questionnaire. You can perhaps just confirm that.
I'm just trying to get hold of the page on the questionnaire, if you'll excuse me 1 minute, sir. Nine point 5.
9.5, page number 19.
Nosworthy and Invest Gold. The closing arguments were handed down on the 28th of April. Judgment was handed down on the 7th of September 2017. Oates Architects and OSR Holdings. The matter was heard on the 1st and the 2nd of June 2017. Judgment was granted on the 30th of August 2017. Nell and Mr. Price Group, that was actually leave to appeal, and that was handed down.
Just indicate for when was it heard before you come to the handing down?
It was heard on the 14th and 17th of October 2016. Judgment was granted on the 24th of March 2017. And the leave to appeal, I don't actually have the date here, but leave to that reference to it at 9.5 was the leave to appeal, and I think I probably handed it down the following week. And then Harris and Carr, it was reserved. Harrison Carr was reserved on the 31st of May 2017, and judgment was granted on the 20th of September 2017.
Commissioner, are you done?
I'm done, thank you. I just wanted perhaps, Chief Justice, to, because it was discussed at the sifting committee meeting, the issue of citizenship and permanent residency. In your application, you say that you are a permanent resident, that you have applied for citizenship, and that you've been advised that it should be finalized soon. Now, that was at the time of your application, which was signed on the 30th of June. What has happened in respect of that since?
My citizenship has been approved. I am just waiting to be sworn in by the Minister.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Commissioner Fori. President Maya?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, President.
I have just one question for you, and it relates to the disciplinary proceedings to which you were subjected by the Law Society some years ago,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were found guilty and sanctions were imposed. Can you just explain the circumstances that gave rise to the charge?
It was a charge of failure to furnish my auditor's certificate. The certificates were subsequently furnished, and I had to attend a disciplinary committee, and I was given a sentence of 10,000 rand, which sentence was suspended for a period of 5 years.
Thank you, President Maya. Professor Dr. Matseka.
Who experienced any racial discrimination in the courts? If so, what practical measures do you think should be taken to address that?
I personally have not experienced any racism within the courts.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You're excused.
Thank you.